Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and it's Monday, so that means we're kicking off a fresh week here on the channel. It's a fresh week at Celtic Football Club, and we all know exactly what week it is. We are days away from that massive derby at Celtic Park, which could determine who lifts the Scottish Premiership trophy at the end of the season. And the pressure seems to be getting to one individual in particular, and we're going to talk about who and why in this video. I think you know exactly what I mean. Are we all ready for a bit of fun? Let's do this. Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. It's a massive week, of course, where we're going to be building up towards this derby on Saturday. A derby which could be the title decider. So if you want to stay up to date and hear all the news and stories leading into that game, you want your podcast to preview the match as well, then hit those buttons. It's absolutely free. It'd be much appreciated. Shall we get into talking about the stories that have developed over the weekend following both Celtic and Rangers win? So here's the league table then. After an eventful weekend in the Scottish Premiership, Celtic managed to continue their great form with a win over Hearts, a 3-0 win over Hearts, I must say, a dominant performance, one of our best of the season. And Rangers managed to keep the pressure on with their win against Clement yesterday, a 4-1 win at Ibrox following Kelly going down to 10 men. I mean, a lot of people thought there could have been a chance when Kelly went 1-0 up, but exactly what I expected. Rangers to get the 3 points. It's, you know, you've got to win these games now. If you don't win on the build-up to this derby, and you don't win in any of these games now between here and the end of the season, that's it. I think it's first to slip up, loses this title. Celtic lucky enough to be in the fortunate position of being 3 points ahead of Rangers. We know exactly what we have to do in the last 3 games. We've got Rangers this weekend, followed by Kilmarnock and St Mirren to wrap up the league season. It's going to be huge. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be nerve-wracking. I don't know how you're feeling right now on Monday. I'm assuming it'll be different from how you're feeling on Friday night. I'll tell you that for nothing. But we've got a lot to talk about in regards to that game at the weekend, because Phil Clement has he's been rattled a little bit, hasn't he? And right now I think there's a psychological advantage with one manager, and that's ours, Brendan Rodgers, the Brodge himself. So we're going to talk about this whole comment that's got Big Clement raging over the weekend, and try and kind of unravel the reason as to why he shouldn't be so worked up about it. Bit bizarre if you ask me. So following Celtic's win on Saturday, Brendan Rodgers made a very innocent post-match comment, which, you know, you would just normally look over as typical Brendan Rodgers. He's just looking forward to the next game. Here's his exact quote for context. He said, "Mentally, we're in a really good place. Next Saturday, we'll have a bit of fun." That's all he said. He said he'll have fun next Saturday. In a derby game where you would expect it to be quite fun. Philip Clement didn't see the humour in Brendan Rodgers' comment, and he's taken it as a mark of disrespect. The Rangers manager. This was his rebuttal in his post-match press conference yesterday. He said, "It's not really respectful towards my team. I will never say things like that about an opponent, but okay, we will see." Seeming a little bit insecure there, Phil. Just a tad insecure. You're like the jealous boyfriend of the amazing girlfriend that is Brendan Rodgers. Really bizarre. And I've, you know, tried my best to be as unbiased and as fair as possible in my assessment of how this season has gone. I don't think Celtic nor Rangers have been, by any stretch of the imagination, good this season. I don't think that either team have really hit the heights they should, especially Celtic. We've lacked in several big games. We have struggled at certain points of the season. Celtic have been far from their best this year, and we all know that Brendan Rodgers and this Celtic side can really take it to another level. But Brendan Rodgers implied that he was going to have fun next week. There was not one mention of Rangers Football Club. There was not one mention of Philippe Clement. There was no mention of their side. There was nothing to suggest that he was playing down the opposition. But Philippe Clement has found it in his infinite wisdom to come out in his post-match press conference and label it as disrespectful and taking major offence to it. You can see it on his face and in his tone if you've watched the press conference. He's not a happy chappy. Which just, it baffles me on so many levels. Now, don't get me wrong, when Brendan Rodgers initially made that comment on Saturday afternoon, I think we've seen a lot of Celtic fans kind of breathe through their teeth. You know, that sharp intake of breath, which you do when something kind of awkward happens, and you don't want to see your manager make a comment that could come back to bite you. But when you look at the comment for what it is, and it's how I looked at it when he said it at the time, there's nothing there to imply that he's said that he thinks next week is a throwaway game. He's not come out and said he knows we're going to batter Rangers. He's not come out and said that Rangers are shite. He's made a simple comment implying that they will have fun. That's all. And if you want to read between any lines there or overanalyze any comment, I think that you're reaching into an infinitely long bag. You're not going to get anything out of it because it's just a simple comment about having fun. So initially when some Celtic fans were getting worked up that Rodgers might be getting ahead of himself, and then you get Clement as well, who's claiming it's a disrespectful comment that disregards the quality that Rangers have, I think that's all nonsense. The manager's allowed to come out and say that he's going to have fun. I think that's what we all want on Saturdays. We want a bit of fun. It will be a nervy affair. It will be horrible to watch at times, and moments before kick-off, I'm sure we'll all have that same horrid, sickly feeling in our guts. But it's still about having a bit of fun out there and getting the result that we need. If we didn't go out and have fun, we wouldn't be getting the result we need because it would be stale, it would be boring, and Rangers would take advantage of that. The way that we played on Saturday, that was fun. That was really fun. So we're looking to replicate that. And that's all that Brendan Rodgers has implied. That's it. He's not implied anything else. So all these Rangers fans and Philip Clement as well, who are wanting to overanalyse and read between lines that don't even exist, trying to claim that he's coming out with some cryptic comment that totally throws away the notion of Rangers getting any sort of result, that's just nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. And I can't wait to see Clement on Saturday. I really can't, because this is building. This has been building with Philip Clement. When he arrived at Rangers, there seemed to be this overall opinion that he was different from the previous managers, that he was different from Michael Beale or Van Bronckhorst or Gerrard or Caixinha or any other of these guys who have came out and have made daft comments. And there was this opinion of him that he came in with his head down, got on with business, and left all the daft comments and focusing on Celtic to the side. But now that the pressure is building, he's just shown himself to be as bad as the rest. It was the same with the game at the beginning of April, and it's the same now. And I'm not trying to come on here to sound like that stuck-up Celtic fan who's just being completely biased towards his own club. That's not what I'm intending here, but it's true, because the proof is in the pudding. It was the same with that moral victory comment that he made after the 3-3 game. There was no moral victory there. It was a draw. It was a draw in a game which you had to win at your own stadium. It was a draw that left Celtic still in pole position in the title race. There was no moral victory for Rangers. So somehow he conjured this false notion out of thin air that Rangers were the moral victors. And ever since, I feel like we have seen the pressure eating away at Phil Clement. He's been nippy with interviewers. He's been stood on the touchline with his face tripping off him. He's been coming up with excuses in moments. When Rangers have dropped points, he has been near breaking point, it seems. And this, once again, yesterday, feels like another one of these comments that shows a man, a very bald man, towards breaking point. The fact that he's taken this daft line from Brendan Rodgers so seriously and so personally as an attack towards his team almost shows for me a man that is under pressure and a man that might not be ready to hack the pressure in these coming 3 games. I'm not going to speak too soon. I'm not going to say that Rangers don't have a chance this weekend. I think that realistically Celtic are looked at as favourites for a reason. You know, we're the home side. We're the side that's 3 points clear. We're the side in better form. We're also the side that haven't lost to Rangers once this season. So, rightly so, Celtic are probably favourites going into this game. But I think that most Celtic fans you'll speak to acknowledge the fact that this game at the weekend, it could go either way. It's the biggest derby in years. It's a title decider. Form will truly go out the window. But for some reason, Philippe Clement is acting like the odds have been stacked against him, and that Rangers are the wee diddy team that the big bad monster Celtic are out to get. That seems to be the impression I get from Philippe Clement every time it comes up to one of these derbies now. There seems to be a bitterness in him. There seems to be pressure on him. And he's making these daft comments that people like Michael Beale did as well. So that whole opinion of him that people had when he first came in, I hope that that's sort of deteriorating. I hope that people realise that he is just like the rest and he's making these comments. Listen, if they come and beat us at Celtic Park on Saturday, fair play. Fair play. It will put us into an exciting couple of games where, you know, Celtic might still be clear on goal difference, but, you know, it'll be must win for both sides. Rangers can really make a title race out of it. But if they come to Celtic Park on Saturday and lose the game, you know what's going to happen. You know exactly what's going to happen. The excuses, the comments, the bitterness will be rife. And it won't be Celtic's hard work. It won't be Celtic's quality that won them a league title. It'll be Rangers' downfall that won them a league title. It'll be the referees that won them a title. It'll be everything else that Philippe Clement can pull out the bag. So, I don't want to speak about it too soon because we don't even know what the result is going to be on Saturday. Celtic could win, Rangers could win, it could be a draw. All we know is that Celtic need to be fully focused on the task. Brendan Rodgers 100% is. And I think we've been seeing it in recent weeks, the constant improvement of Celtic that leaves us in a good position, rightly, to be confident going into this game. On the other hand, I think Clement needs to calm down and get his affairs in order because the pressure's getting to him. And it's going to make for good entertainment on Saturday either way. Whether Celtic win, lose or draw, through that 90 minutes I'm sure we'll see a couple of animated managers, hopefully some feistiness. But our manager's focusing on the task ahead. I love that. And let's see how it goes. It's just so funny. Like, I can't stop thinking of the hypocrisy involved in Philippe Clement. This is the same manager, by the way, who stormed up the tunnel at Dingwall without shaking the hand of Don Cowie. And yet Brendan Rodgers is disrespectful for implying that he would like to put on some fun for his supporters. Make it make sense, Phil. It's set to be a big week. We await to hear what both managers say ahead of the game. The press conference won't be till Friday anyway, so we'll hear what Baldy and Brendan Rodgers have to say then, to see if there's any parting comments before the game, to see if there's any more feistiness that pops up in front of the microphones. I'm excited. Look, listen, it'll be nervous. It's a big week, but it's the whole point of football, isn't it? It's what we live for, these sort of games, these sort of moments. So we'll see how it all pans out come the end of the week. Talking about Brendan Rodgers, the only other thing to talk about today is his comments implying that the summer will be a busy one for Celtic. He spoke about Joe Hart in the media over the past couple of days and kind of made a comment which suggests to me that he's not 100% happy with his defence. Which is to be expected because I don't think anybody's 100% happy with how the defence has played this season. Of course, we've been plagued with injuries the entire campaign. Vickers has only started, 17 games all season, I think. We've had, Scales has dropped out at times. Taylor's dropped out. Johnson's dropped out. At one point or another, everybody in our defence has been injured and we've had to have quite a makeshift defence at points. But Brendan Rodgers made this comment in the media saying that at times Joe Hart has done too much. He's had too much to do. He's had a bit more to do than I'd have liked this season. We will sort that out in the summer, but here he has produced some really important moments. So yeah, Brendan Rodgers saying that Joe Hart, for as good as he's been, has had far too much to do, which is true. I mean, we're looking at easily our player of the year. Joe Hart, I've said it time and time again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but he has been our player of the year, and that goes for his performance as well at the weekend against Hearts. He was absolutely fantastic. He made a few huge saves that kept Celtic in a dominant position through the game. But the defence ahead of him just hasn't been good enough, simply. So Brendan Rodgers acknowledging that there has to be work done to improve the back line ahead of our goalkeeper. And we all know that Joe Hart's retiring. So you're losing somebody who's given us confidence and faith. We can't go into another campaign with a back line that isn't good enough, with a new goalkeeper who we don't know will be good enough or not. Let's be real. We might go out and sign somebody that looks good, but it could turn out to be like Vasilis Barkas. So you've got to have a back line you can trust. You've got to have a back line that can keep the job easy for the keeper in domestic games. So hopefully we'll see that already done quite quickly in this summer window. The business and what being done to improve all those areas. But that was the only other thing to really cover today. Right then, that does it for today. If you've enjoyed, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. Let me know all your opinions in the comments below. I'm sure that it'll attract a few funny comments, to say the least. But that's when I'm going to wrap up. So take care of yourself, God bless, and we'll see you all on the channel tomorrow.